Right, October Red, I'm here with my favourite, and I'll always introduce you as my favourite because you are. It's Max Mccracken. Welcome back.
Thanks, Abby. How are you?
All right, how are you? How's training going with Solomon? I was just speaking to him that he's literally waiting to see what's happening with the other side, ready to fight on the 16th, but it may be pushed back according to Solomon.
Yeah, the latest news we've heard is the 20th of April, but there's nothing confirmed yet. So, just gives us more time. It'll be sharper, be better. Works out well for us as well. Doesn't matter where it is, be ready.
Talk to us about, obviously, training him since the last camp. Obviously, I know he was away for a bit. He wasn't with you because, obviously, he was in Tyson Fury's camp. He came back and fought Weber? Michael Webster.
Yeah.
Not the best performance for him. A little bit of controversy about the win, but he's back with you now. So how did that training go after that?
Yeah, he was up at Tyson's for a good few weeks, about 8 weeks, 9 weeks, and then, with no fight date in sight, he was just concentrating on sparring, just being ready for the spars. He was doing like 3 and 4 rounds here and there, the odd 6. So, he had no fight date in mind. So you're just training to keep yourself in shape for the spar, really. Mm-hmm. And then they offered us to fight November the 27th, I think it was, and he took it, but it was on like 2 weeks' notice. So when he came back, we had 10 days together in the gym. You look back at it now and you think, really, he shouldn't have took it. But, it's a big opportunity with the new promoter. So, sometimes you've got to take these fights. But, performance wasn't great. He was rusty, his timing was off, So he's got to, just work to this date now and you'll see the real Solomon Dacres.
You know what's interesting, Max? The way that, he's been with you, forever, and then he can end up, having a few weeks away, and it literally knocks the fighter off. It's almost like they've got, when they say you've got a sleep pattern, you've got a routine that you're used to. It's like that with boxing training. If you don't, stay to it 100%, these things can happen, right?
Yeah, it's just like when he's here, he's hitting pads every day, he's hitting the bag every day, he's shadowboxing, he's consistent, he's sparring, he's getting at least 2 spars a week, so, everything's in tune. Do you know what I mean? And then when you go away, you're in somebody else's gym. You're not really doing much much bag work, pad work. You just get, like I said, you're just being, in shape for the spar. So it's you need the consistency in the gym. Everything will click into place then come fight night.
Yeah, we've got a nice, tidy, I'd say, the newcomers of the heavyweight division. We've got, and I'd really like your opinion on Fabio Wardley and Fraser Clark. That's going March the 31st. I think it's Bank Holiday weekend.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? I know that you've had Fraser in, you've had Fraser spar. Obviously, Solomon knows him from Team GB, so they go way back. Talk to us about that fight and the advantages and disadvantages for both boxers. It's
a great fight. I think it's a 50-50 fight. I've known Fraser a long time. I like Fraser. I'll be rooting for Fraser. But Wardley's dangerous. He's got something about him. When he opens up, he's heavy-handed. All his fights have ended early, haven't they? I don't think he's been past 7 rounds. But, if Fraser can stay disciplined, box, can box his way through. He's just got to be on point that night, Fraser has. Wardley as well, dangerous opponent. But let's just hope Fraser can pull it off.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I spoke to Fabio after he had the David Adeleye fight, and I was asking him about, obviously, reading David Adeleye. What did he see in the ring? And he said he would sort of throw shots just to see what was coming back, when you're trying to read your opponent. Yeah. And he said there weren't really nothing coming back. So he goes, all right, then, I've got a space, I can capitalise on this.
Yeah.
And that's when, obviously, he goes in for the kill. How important is it for fighters to be able to download their opponent? Because you can train all you like in there. If your opponent turns up doing something different on the night, they've got to be able to switch on and adapt to that, right?
You just got to adjust and adapt in boxing. I mean, you can, everyone's got game plans going in, but the fighters got to adjust and adapt in there. You could watch all the film you want, and he'll turn up and fight differently, a different style, or try different tactics. So you've just got to, you've got to think on your feet in there. You've got to be a thinker, and you've got to adjust and adapt.
That fight happens, whoever wins, is that then something that you want Solomon to go for, the British title? Because I know he's somebody that's keen on, getting belts. He's keen on becoming a world champion. I remember that from when I spoke to him years ago. How do you then target that and try to get into that position? How do the rankings work?
Well, the winner of this one is more or less, promised a shot at the British. So that'll be the winner of Wardley and Fraser. So, you know, we're rooting for Fraser because, you know, it'll be a big fight if when Sol beats Adelaide. Fraser and Sol is a massive fight in the Midlands, but it just makes sense, doesn't it? I don't think Wardley will be hanging around. If he gets the win, Wardley, I think he'll be moving up a level, won't he?
So then explain that to me. Say, hypothetically then, I know Fabio said he wants to defend it one more time and then he's on to bigger and better things. Fair play to him. Really astute businessman in boxing. So say, for example, if Fraser loses, what happens then? Can he still go for the British? Does he drop down in the rankings? How does it work?
I don't think that he'd go straight back in for the British. He'd have to rebuild, wouldn't he?
Just like what Adelaide's doing now?
Yeah, he'd have to sort of rebuild. I don't think they'd put him straight back in for the British. But then you got the other fighters. Haven't you got, like, who's Moses Atuma? He's there and thereabouts, isn't he? Then really you got, you know, who else is there? You've got Nathan Gorman, people like that. There's not that many really. You know, Nathan Gorman's lost for the British, hasn't he? But you just, you know, they'll find someone. If there's an eliminator, or they'll push someone forward.
It's interesting to see how he's going to progress forward. So all the best with that. But I've got to speak to you about the 2 fights that we've got coming up this weekend as well. We'll talk about the proper boxing fight, if one for a better word, first, which is Zhilei Zhang versus Joe Parker. Break that fight down for us, Max.
Yeah, Zhang's dangerous, isn't he? He's a Danish opponent, big puncher. But, like, he's 41, isn't he? Is he 40, 41?
Yeah, something like that.
I think Parker's in the form of his life, isn't he? He's worked really well with Andy Lee. I like Andy Lee, I like Joseph Parker. I think I'm going to go for Parker because I think with his movement, his fast hands, he's a good counter puncher. If he could just don't get caught with anything big early, I think the second half of the fight, he can really, you know, really push the pace on Zhang, make Zhang work. You know, he's, like I said, he's 40 years of age, isn't he? But the other side is, you know, if he stands in front of Zhang, sits still, you can't be taking them big shots off him.
What do you think about how many? I was trying to rack my brains and thinking how many times has Parker fought a southpaw? Because I think that's what makes Zhang really awkward. Solomon was mentioning it. That's something about his backhand. It's so quick. You've just got to make sure. Yeah, you've got to make sure you get out of the way because some fighters struggle. I'm not saying Parker does, but some fighters struggle with that southpaw because of that speed, because of that backhand, the timing of it.
Yeah, he's just got a trigger, hasn't he? Move to his left, see what he can draw out of him and counter, you know. But Parker's good. Parker's a good fighter. And people forget he's very experienced.
Yeah. World champion at 24.
And he's a world champion young. He's fought like Hughie Fury. Hughie Fury's a very good fighter. You know, he fought Joshua 2018, I think. You know, so he's been there, Parker. This just doesn't faze him.
Yeah, Dillian White, Derek Chisora, he's fought.
Yeah, he's fought them all, yeah. You know, so he's got the experience, Parker has. If he can just stay disciplined, I think he can get the win.
Arguably, wouldn't you say that Parker's resume is probably better than all of them? Because the only one that he hasn't fought is Fury, and obviously they're friends, but he's fought absolutely everybody else, where some of the heavyweights, there's 2 that they're missing off their resume, isn't it?
Yeah, well, who's he fought? He's fought Parker, Chisora, Dillian White, Wilder, that was a brilliant win. Joshua, Andy Ruiz as well, didn't he? Fought him.
Oh, God, yeah.
Fought Andy Ruiz, so yeah, he's very experienced.
I think that's, to me, that's going to be fight of the night. That is definitely the fight I'm looking forward to. But obviously, we've got the main event. We've got Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou. Watching all the media build up to it, you know, Anthony Joshua seems very focused, very relaxed. Another trainer is now trained by Ben Davison. Francis Ngannou's got, I think, the words of Mike Tyson in his ear. And he's also got, is it Dewey Cooper, his main trainer? Lovely guy as well. Talk to us about that fight and what are your thoughts on it?
He's just like, in boxing, I've never seen anyone like, a surprise package in Ngannou. Unbelievable.
Surprise package.
Unbelievable. But, you know, to come in with no fights and do that with Tyson Fury, you know. I was up there when they were training in the camp and Tyson was training hard. Do you know what I mean? He was sparring, he's putting the rounds, he's putting the work in. But I just think maybe mentally, he just thought it would be a bit easier than what he thought, you know. You know, obviously he'd never boxed before. But he's dangerous and gone. If you stand with him, his strength, he's like physically very, very strong. But Joshua, you know, really, he should break him down behind the jab, you know, move off side to side, break him down. He should get to him second half of the fight. But if he mixes it up with him and gets caught with something, anything can happen. For
those of you that don't know, Max was one of them that was in the corner with Anthony Joshua in the early stage of his career, because obviously he's trained by your brother, Rob McCracken. When you look at Anthony Joshua's style over the years, because you've been in the corner, you've seen the training, and obviously you observe now, watch his fights. What do you see? How have you seen that his styles change, or has it? You as a trainer, what do you see?
Yeah, I mean, when he was coming through, he was just a crash. He was a handball. He was a combination puncher, go on that front foot. He's a good counter puncher as well. Then he sort of tried to do a little bit of boxing, lighten his feet in and out, moving and that. Really, when he sets his feet, lets his shots go. He's just a real heavy puncher. So, the last one with
Walling.
I think he went in there with the confidence because he's been in the ring with Walling. He's fought him twice, and he's just sparring regularly. Knew he had his number. You could see that in his head. He knew he had his number before he got in there. Do you know what I mean? So really, you need to see him against someone
like an unknown kind of.
Yeah, how he is there. I think he was confident before when the fight was maybe won and he's going to do a job on him, which he did. He just broke him down, didn't he? Just beat him up really. Walling was disappointing, but it's really interesting him and Ngannou. How this fight's going to go. I'm looking forward to it.
It is one of them because, to be fair, and fair play to Fury, because if Fury didn't have that fight, and say, for example, it was just Anthony Joshua, we would have done the same thing that we were doing when we was watching MMA fans, fair enough, you guys said, be careful. But as a boxing fan, I thought, this is a shutout. Fury's going to walk through him.
I was thinking about it. Well, if it was on, I'd watch it, but I wasn't that bothered about it. I thought he'd just play with him and do what he wanted, but it's just a surprise, isn't it? Just unbelievable. But he's obviously worked at his game for years, hasn't he? Ngannou, his balance was good, his poise was good. He just made Fury work. And like you say, if you get caught by him, he's a massive puncher, isn't he?
I just want to say as well, I spoke to Tyler Denny recently, and I'm trying to remember who else I spoke to, young Ben Whittaker, and we were talking about the trainers, and both of them have been with trainers for a while, and how Tyler was kind of like saying that, his trainers are in there twice a day, you guys are in there twice a day, 6 days a week, earning pennies from the fighters when they first start off, and then sometimes, things happen, or sometimes a fighter doesn't want to pay the big money because their wages are going up, and then the fighter thinks, I'm going to go and get it cheaper elsewhere. That loyalty then, you as a coach, you as a trainer, what does that loyalty mean when you see your fighters, good times, bad times, indifferent, but they stay with you? Yeah,
well, I mean, you put a lot in early on, don't you? There's nothing in it. You just put in the time. And some of these trainers, I take my hats off to some of them. They never earn anything. They'll never earn anything from boxing. A lot of them, they've got fighters on these smaller shows. They don't earn any money. A lot of them have to pay to get on the shows, and they put the graft in. And some of them are brilliant trainers. You see these high-profile ones that you see on the interviews all the time. Then I've seen other ones that I'd put them equally with them. So it's just strange, really. But the way it works, some don't break through. But there's a lot of good trainers out there. And you put the time in, so as you go through the levels, it's boxing. It's good to have a loyal fighter. If you're loyal with them, you expect it back. Do you know what I mean? But it's boxing. Things change, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the most thankless tasks in boxing, and fair play to you, because I think I was speaking to Tyler, and Tyler was saying there's no way I'd do it, because I've seen what's happened to the trainers. They literally do everything for the fighters, and some of them are just so ungrateful. Yeah,
it's just the way they are today, some kids, innit? But a lot of the fighters I've worked with, they've been brilliant. Started at the beginning with them, like Gamal Yafai. He won a Commonwealth, WBC International, went to Italy. Brilliant performances. He won the European title. Cal Yafai, fantastic talent, real big puncher early on. I was with him for all the way through. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I've had some good success with fighters, you know what I mean? Been loyal and all that. Same with Sol. Sol's coming through now. He's going up the levels. You can see him improving. He's getting there. So, hopefully this fight, he breaks through. This is the fight that he breaks through, and gets into the big fights.
Do you think it's tough for fighters to break through, even because what I can say is that some fighters are privileged because they're on the main platforms. Like you said, there's some of them on small horse shows, and they'll make 50 quid paying for their own opponents and everything else, and they're walking away with nothing. So when you're, I can't say gifted, when you've been given the opportunity to be on a main platform, what's the onus on the fighter? What's the onus on the team to then deliver for that platform, make them think, you know what, you were worth the investment?
Well, they've got to perform, haven't they? You hope you do all this training with fighters, a lot of them, and you just got a lot of the trainers. They just, you go in there with the tactics for the fight, and you just want them to perform. You just want it. It's on the night, isn't it? They've got to perform, haven't they? But boxing's like this. It's like everything in life. You have off days, don't you? But like ultimately, you've got to be exciting in these fights. You've got to look good. You've got to want people to watch you again.
And talent spotting you were for Matty Harris, a heavyweight that had his return to the ring last week, Friday, courtesy of Wasserman Boxing. Matty, that you've been with from the beginning, his manager. How would you say that he's getting on now, and give us your fair evaluation of his performance on Friday?
It was just good to get him back out. I thought he boxed out. At times you could see the improvements he made with Peter. He made a few mistakes as well, but that's what you do. He's a young heavyweight and he's 24. So he's just going to learn from that fight and, move on to the next one. But he's working with Peter now. Peter's a really good trainer. He listens to Peter, and you can see it's going to be a good relationship between the two of them.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. And I can't not speak about Tion and Corey Gibbs, the Gibbs family, beautiful family, massive family in Birmingham. Like I said, there's about 800 kids. But you've got Tion and Corey. I know Corey's under boxer, so how's he getting on? And when's he going to be back out?
Well, we was hoping this Wolverhampton show supposed to be Tyler Denny, but I think Matchroom won the purse bid, so that's gone. So we're just waiting now. There's some shows. I think there might be one in... Is it Lauren Price?
Okay.
I think she might be fighting soon. So just waiting on a date now. That's all you can do is just stay in the gym and just keep waiting. And it'll fall into place shortly.
And finally from me then, when you've got fighters that are more active and then you've got fighters that are waiting around, how do you manage that? Because sometimes they'll come into the gym and they're just a bit, for a better word, like pissed off, like, for God's sake, when am I going to get out? How do you keep them motivated as a coach?
You just, you got to know when to have the breaks and all that. You can't burn them out, just staying in the gym. There's nothing, but you do get these calls. You get these calls, you get an opportunity. Obviously you're going to the opponent, but, you got to take these opportunities sometimes. That's how you break through. A lot of fighters have done that. They took last minute jobs and they broke through and then went on to win titles. So you've just got to keep hope and stay positive, stay in the gym, keep working hard.
We love it. Always wise words from Max Mccracken. I could sit down and talk to you for like 17 hours. And he's got a sense of humour as well. You might not see it on camera, but he's one of the funniest blokes I've ever met. But us Brummies, we've got a good sense of humour, haven't we?
Sitting here, Abby, I've got to have a laugh, haven't we?
Until the next time, thank you so much, Max.
Cheers, Abby. Thanks a lot.
People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.